The secret of Mama Akara. Lagos is a city that never sleeps. From dawn until the deepest hours of the night, the streets teem with life. Motorcycles weaving through traffic, vendors shouting prices, and people bustling to and fro. In the midst of all this chaos, one constant remains: Mama Akara's roadside stand. Located on a busy street corner near Yaba Market, Mama Akara's stall draws crowds every single day. The smell of frying bean cakes, akara, wafts down the street, making mouths water from a distance. The taste of her akara is legendary, a secret recipe passed down, or so she claims, through generations. No one can resist them. Customers wait in line, sometimes for hours, just to get their hands on a few pieces, dipped in spicy pepper sauce or sandwiched between slices of bread. But while most assume her success is due to culinary expertise, others whisper darker rumors. There is something about Mama Akara that unsettles those who look closely. She is a plump woman in her mid-50s with eyes sharp as knives, always watching, always calculating. She moves with a strange grace for someone her age, turning and flipping the akara in hot oil with the fluidity of someone much younger. Despite her friendly smile and warm greetings, her presence has an eerie quality that no one can quite put their finger on. It started subtly, a noticeable difference in the taste of her akara. It became richer, fuller, with a flavor that no one could place but that everyone craved. No other akara seller in Lagos could compete, and soon enough, Mama Akara was making money hand over fist. She expanded her stall, hired help, and became a local celebrity. The richer families started sending their drivers to pick up bags of her akara for parties and events. Her fame spread like wildfire. But beneath the success, a darker story began to circulate among the market traders and street urchins who spent their days near her stall. The whispers spoke of strange things, of Mama Akara being seen late at night, visiting places no one should be after dark. It was a joke, a young girl who helped her mother sell vegetables nearby, who first noticed something odd. One evening after a long day of work, she passed by Mama Akara's stand on her way home. The market was empty, save for a few stragglers, but there was Mama Akara, standing alone by her stall, counting her day's earnings. A joke thought nothing of it until she saw Mama Akara stash her money and walk away from the stand, heading in the direction of the cemetery road. Curiosity got the better of her, and a joke followed from a distance. Mama Akara walked with purpose, her small frame moving swiftly through the winding streets of Lagos, bypassing the local church and the residential areas until she reached the morgue. The mortuary was an old, run-down building, its gray walls stained with years of neglect. A joke watched as Mama Akara approached the gatekeeper, a frail man who always looked half asleep during the day. He snapped to attention when Mama Akara arrived. Without a word, she reached into her handbag and handed him an envelope, thick with Naira notes. The gatekeeper nodded, pushed the gate open, and let her in. A joke's heart pounded in her chest. Why would Mama Akara need to go to a place like that? She waited in the shadows until Mama Akara emerged from the mortuary. This time she carried a small metal container, its surface glinting in the moonlight. It wasn't until the next morning, as a joke watched Mama Akara's customers devouring her fried bean cakes, that the pieces started to fall into place. The rumors about the mortuary. The sudden, irresistible taste of the akara. The container Mama Akara had carried from that place of death. A joke couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Days turned into weeks and the whispers grew louder. People claimed Mama Akara's akara had a power over them, an addiction they couldn't control. Men who had once sworn off street food found themselves craving her akara like it was a drug. Some said they dreamt of it at night. Vivid dreams where Mama Akara's face appeared, smiling sweetly, offering them more bean cakes. Then something else happened. Some of her regular customers, men and women who had eaten her akara daily, began to fall ill. At first it was just fatigue, then a persistent cold, but soon the sickness escalated. Their skin became pale, their energy drained, and their once healthy bodies wasted away. No one could explain it. The doctors were baffled. The sun had long set over the sprawling city of Lagos, but the streets remained alive with the sounds of vendors calling out, the honking of danfos, and the general hum of a city that never slept. Among the market stalls, one stood out from the rest: Mama Akara's. Her bean cakes were the talk of the town. Every day from dawn till dusk, her small roadside stand buzzed with activity. Customers lined up in droves, desperate to get a taste of her famous akara. Just across the street, however, a man watched with growing resentment. His name was Sei, and like Mama Akara, he sold akara. He had been in the business for years, but ever since Mama Akara's rise to fame, his once steady flow of customers had dwindled to a trickle. No matter what he did, changing his recipe, lowering his prices, offering bigger portions. Nothing could compete with the magic of Mama Akara's food. And it was magic, he thought bitterly. How else could she command such success? How could she, an old woman, suddenly become the most sought-after Akara seller in Lagos? One evening, after another day of watching his meager customer base cross the road to buy from Mama Akara, Sei made a decision. He would find out her secret. Something was not right and he was going to expose it. He began to watch her closely, not just during the day but at night when the streets were quieter. Mama Akara always stayed behind after everyone else had packed up their stalls. He noticed her strange habits, the way she meticulously cleaned her utensils, the way she would disappear into the night with her small metal container, returning an hour later with it full. One night, when the moon hung low in the sky, Sei decided to follow her. It was late, too late for a woman her age to be out alone. Yet Mama Akara moved through the streets with purpose, her small figure vanishing and reappearing in the shadows cast by the dim streetlights. Sei trailed her from a distance, his heart pounding in his chest, every step bringing him closer to uncovering the mystery behind her success. She walked further than he expected, bypassing the bustling market district and heading towards the more isolated part of town. Sei's suspicions grew stronger with each step. He had heard rumors, whispers that Mama Akara's sudden rise was tied to something unnatural, something dark. But what could it be? Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, they arrived at an old building. Sei recognized it instantly, the city morgue. He hid behind a cluster of trees, his eyes wide with disbelief. Why would Mama Akara come to a place like this? He watched as she approached the gatekeeper, an old man hunched over in his tiny booth. She handed him something, a thick envelope, and in return he gave her access to the morgue. Without a word, she disappeared inside. Sei's blood ran cold. He had a bad feeling about this. He waited for a few minutes, his mind racing, before deciding to follow her. Quietly, he crept around the side of the building, finding a small window that allowed him to peek inside. What he saw sent a wave of nausea through his body. There, under the harsh fluorescent lights of the morgue, was Mama Akara. She stood over a metal table, her usual cheerful expression gone, replaced with something far more sinister. In front of her was a metal container, the same one she always carried. Slowly, methodically, she was using it to collect water that had pooled beneath a corpse on the table. Sei clamped a hand over his mouth to keep from making a sound. He watched in horror as she filled the container, her hands moving with the precision of someone who had done this many times before. Then, as if the sight wasn't bad enough, Mama Akara reached into a large plastic bag, pulling out her utensils, pots, pans, and spoons, all of which she dipped into the same mortuary water, washing them clean with an eerie calm. His heart pounded so hard he thought it might burst from his chest. Was this her secret? Was this how she made her Akara taste so irresistible, using water from the dead? Without thinking, Sei pulled out his phone. His hands trembled as he hit record, capturing the entire scene. He knew this was dangerous, knew that exposing Mama Akara could come with consequences, but he couldn't let this continue. People needed to know the truth. Mama Akara finished her grim task, her movements slow and deliberate. Sei recorded every second, waiting until she left the morgue before quietly slipping away. He didn't stop until he was far from the building, safe in the crowded streets of Lagos. Over the next few days, Sei contemplated his next move. He wanted revenge, wanted to destroy Mama Akara's business the way she had destroyed his. But more than that, he felt an obligation to the people of Lagos. They had the right to know what they were consuming. Finally, the moment came. Sei uploaded the video online, sending it to Instablog Ninja and sharing it on social media. The footage quickly went viral. The shockwaves were immediate. People couldn't believe what they were seeing. Mama Akara, beloved by so many, was exposed as something far darker than anyone could have imagined. The comments section exploded with outrage, disbelief, and horror. Many were sickened, realizing they had been eating Akara tainted with water from the dead. It didn't take long for the authorities to get involved. They raided her stall, shutting it down and questioning her. But Mama Akara, ever defiant, claimed it was all a misunderstanding. She called Sei a liar, accusing him of doctoring the footage out of jealousy. But the damage was done. The evidence was too damning, too disturbing to ignore. The once booming crowds that had flocked to her stand every day disappeared overnight. Her name became synonymous with betrayal. Just days ago, Mama Akara was the queen of the streets, her legendary fried bean cakes drawing throngs of loyal customers. The air had been filled with the tantalizing scent of her Akara, mixed with the joyful laughter of satisfied patrons. But now, the streets were filled with an unsettling tension, whispers echoing from one vendor to the next, each voice tinged with horror and disbelief. The video that had surfaced was a dark revelation, an unfiltered glimpse into the grotesque practices of the beloved vendor. Say's footage of Mama Akara washing her utensils in the water drawn from a corpse had gone viral, and the backlash was immediate and intense. Social media erupted in outrage. The public was gripped by disgust as they realized they had been eating the very essence of death, a sickening revelation that shattered the illusion of her culinary success. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some claimed she had made a pact with dark forces, trading the souls of her customers for culinary supremacy. Others believed she had been cursed for her wickedness, the spirits of the dead now demanding their due. But most unsettling was the fear that no one knew where she had gone. Just as swiftly as the truth had emerged, Mama Akara had vanished. The day after the video was posted, her stand sat abandoned. The once crowded corner of the market, once alive with laughter and chatter, was eerily quiet. Only a few stray dogs roamed near the empty stall, sniffing around for remnants of food that would never come. Vendors who had previously exchanged pleasantries with Mama Akara now eyed her stand with a mix of fear and disdain, as if the very ground where she had cooked her akara was tainted. Say watched from a distance, a whirlwind of emotions churning within him. The thrill of his small victory was overshadowed by an unexpected sense of loss. While he had sought revenge, he hadn't anticipated the emptiness that followed Mama Akara's downfall. Her disappearance felt like an open wound in the heart of the community. Days turned into weeks, and Mama Akara's absence became the unspoken topic of the town. No one dared to utter her name, as if doing so would conjure her spirit back to the streets. The few who had been her loyal customers now frequented other stalls, yet their faces wore expressions of lingering unease. Say tried to move on, to rebuild his business amidst the silence, but the unease hung thick in the air. He found himself glancing over his shoulder, half expecting to see Mama Akara emerge from the shadows, her beaming smile masking the darkness that had driven her success. He wondered if she had truly fled the city or if something far more sinister had claimed her. As the days turned into months, tales began to surface. It was said that Mama Akara's spirit roamed the market, forever tied to the place she had once ruled. People began to avoid the corner where her stall had stood, refusing to acknowledge the memories that lingered there. One evening, Say found himself wandering back to the old stand. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a haunting glow over the market. He felt a chill run down his spine as he approached the now run-down stall. The paint was peeling and weeds had begun to grow through the cracks in the concrete. As he stood there, memories flooded his mind. Then, amidst the silence, a faint whisper caught his attention. It was barely audible, like the wind carrying a secret. He strained to hear, and the whisper grew louder, resonating in his ears. "Come closer." Say's heart raced, but he felt compelled to follow the voice. He approached the stand, peering into the shadows beneath the makeshift canopy. To his shock, there, half hidden in the dark, was the metal container, the same one Mama Akara had used to gather water from the morgue. It lay on the ground, covered in a layer of dust, as if waiting for its owner to return. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness, and Say stumbled backward. It was a woman, her face obscured by shadows, but he recognized her instantly. Mama Akara. Her hair was unkempt, and her clothes hung loosely from her frame. And that was the last thing he remembered before passing out. The next morning, Say was reported dead. The end. Like, follow and subscribe to African Tales Queen.